fait beau là.
Ah oui, c'est tout fort ici.
En fait, quand je suis rentré de la poste ici.
How has the metro system changed since the early 60s? You've been travelling with the metro now for almost 40 years.
Yes, I have, and it's nothing much has changed on the outside, because they've preserved these old entrances, but on the inside it's changed a lot. And for example, the one at Cluny-la-Sorbonne with all the mosaics on the roof, which they're the signatures of famous authors, and done in mosaics on the ceiling. So this is my I'm Patricia Page. I come from Sydney, and I came over to Paris for the weekend with a friend from London in 1962, and I'm still here after 39 years. I had quite an eventful time in Paris in the 60s, rather poor, bohemian and so on, and quite an important thing happened, and I wrote a book about it much later. I always imagined myself a writer, and when I was in Paris, I sort of thought, oh, that's good, now I can be a writer in Paris. And then I met my husband, who also wanted to be a writer, and we got married, and we're a little writing team, but of course we had to earn money, so we were teaching. We had lots of rather bohemian friends, down and out people, and we used to help them and they'd help us. And Paris was rather exciting politically, because that was in 68, was May 68, and all the événements, as they call them, and it was very exciting. We stayed up all night and listening to the radio, and then we had friends who were on the barricades, and then we went, and the CRS chased us down the road and took refuge in the Sorbonne. We went to Odeon, where anybody could speak. There were like Mendes France went there to speak, and also people from factories, students could just stand up and speak, and it was this wonderful feeling of solidarity between students, factory workers and so on. But the unions didn't like that, and they changed it all. I'm just going to read you a little bit about Montparnasse. This was on the evening when we met this mysterious woman who's the main person in the story. They hadn't demolished the Montparnasse station yet. From the outside, it looked as though they never would, that they couldn't. It was too much a part of the harmony of the square, with its arches and pillars, its flower barrows and newspaper kiosks, its roof garden buffet. But once inside, it was clear the place was doomed. The tiled arcades were cracked and echoing, the lights dim, the paintwork grimy, the air damp with the smell of urine and wet mocks.
How different do you think your life would have been if you'd stayed in Australia?
Oh, it's very difficult to tell. Very, very, very difficult to tell. I wasn't really happy in Australia in the 50s. I always felt that life was really lived elsewhere. But I think now Australia is absolutely great. And I mean, I've been going there every year for about the past 15 years, and seen lots of changes, and I could easily live there now. Maybe I'd even prefer it, but I suppose as I've lived here for nearly 40 years, it's the place I'm most used to, and it's just a question of habit now. But I'm very happy here.
Does it feel like home when you go back to Australia?
Oh, when I go back to Australia, Australia's definitely home, because that's where all my best friends are. That's the language I speak. But if you're a writer, it's quite good to be in a kind of little bubble and not have too many friends around and not have too many distractions. And so for that reason, Paris isn't not so bad, because you have a kind of anonymity and a kind of freedom, and so I like living here for that reason. I feel if I was in Sydney, it'd be just a whirl of going around seeing friends and having a good time.